so I can paste them in.
Okay, so the recording has started, John.
All right, welcome everyone. Today is Tuesday, March 6th, 2018 for this current iteration of the MicroProfile live Hangout. Welcome everyone. As usual, it's everyone's responsibility to take notes. And I am just now pasting the link into the chat. Mm-hmm. So there is no reason why anyone can say I couldn't find the notes. There.
I love it.
All right, so it looks like we have a smaller crowd today. Let's see. Kevin already put his name in. And I'm trying to put my name in here. What happened?
Oh, sorry. We started writing.
Right on top of each other.
Come on, like this.
Yeah, there we go.
Super easy.
All right. So the normal agenda.
Yeah. So
status.
John, I just put that
and
item in there for the agenda for the MicroProfile 1.4 status because I wanted a reminder because I've got some questions about the content for that.
Okay. Yeah, and I'm woefully behind. I apologize, everyone, for that. With the travel and a heavy work schedule while traveling, just left me 0 cycles. And then we have parking lot. I think that's what we call it, isn't it? Yeah, probably. Yeah, I think that's it.
Yeah.
Oh, and then a marketing update. Marketing update. Okay. So let's get on to the agenda here. Minutes, I guess. Bullet item in there. Okay, so MicroProfile 1.4 status. I was looking at the asset tracking sheet, and nobody signed up for anything except for John Doe. That John Doe's a really nice person.
Yeah.
So I've got a lot of concern around. Yeah. Go for it, Kevin.
Okay, so I just wanted to get everyone else up to date. I know I talked to John about this, and I know that this isn't that generic for the guides and stuff as what we had hoped, but because of the push for the 2 IBM conferences that are happening this spring, we just got done with one Index in San Francisco, and then we've got one coming up in Vegas called Think. We have been pushing very hard to get guides out on openliberty.io that are highlighting the MicroProfile features. So I know it's not as generic as what we were talking about, but it still is good from a MicroProfile standpoint because we actually, every one of the features in MicroProfile will have a guide associated with it by next weekend is when Think starts. And the only one that might still be missing is the REST client. That one, it's just taking a little bit longer, but all the rest of them will have something. So it'll be good from a MicroProfile perspective, but they are using OpenLiberty as the implementation. So they are kind of specific to our implementation. So it's not exactly what you were looking for, John, but it is something.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Is there any way to take those and reuse the content and not make it so IBM-ish?
Yeah, definitely, because they are, they're trying to focus on just the specifications, okay? They're very simple applications. At first we were doing these guides, I think you guys have seen a lot of them where we have, we kind of combined 2, 3, maybe even 4 features into one guide. And we got feedback that they wanted them, customers wanted them broken down. So now they're all self-contained, self-sufficient. You don't have to run them in any particular order. You can do, if you're interested in config and metrics, you could just do the two of them and not worry about all the rest.
So microservice architecture approach to write
Yeah.
into documents.
Yep, exactly. And they are.
So can you paste an example into the chat? Can you
Yes,
paste, or even add it to the notes? Would it actually be better?
Add it to the notes. If you paste it, it's going to be lost. But notes, because you're giving us the update, so you should be writing the minutes and say, because IBM is doing 2 conferences, Index and the one in Las Vegas, which I heard like 3 weeks ago or something. I think it's super aggressive, but it is moving forward the work that IBM is doing in their own implementation of MicroProfile. I think that is great, and it shouldn't be seen as a negative. But the way IBM owns it is by not only you saying it here, but also documenting it and saying, how can we use it? The situation is, I'm not sure we can make it generic, right? Because Liberty is not Red Hat or not Apache Tomy or Pajara. So
why? Wait. No.
Every implementation is different, correct? Like doing MicroProfile has different, like every project can be grabbed and used. So that is right? In order for us to make it scalable, we should be saying this can be used with X.
That's the plan.
Yeah, exactly. But do we have it set up already or not? Or are we talking about this right now?
Most of the times, if it's really only using the specified APIs, then it should be portable, and it's a matter of adding the other containers via profile, or just if you build that war or whatever it comes out, and take this binary and let it run on Tommy, let it run on Payara, Micro, or whatever.
It should run, correct?
Theoretically, yes. It might need some repackaging, but the source should run.
We are not physicians that are there in theory. So let's try this theory. How do we execute this to try it? Mark, after the show, could you run it in the JSR config and see if it can be actually done and follow up via the...
Yes. What I think is, what the downside currently is, it's a programming model, but you still have to usually package and run the build to run on a different server. So if you bundle something for running on Liberty Profile, it looks a little bit different than running on Tommy or Microwave or Payara Micro or Wildfire Swarm. The packaging is most of the times different. Also because we don't require servlets, for example. What is the default packaging for Payara or for Wildfire Swarm, for example? Is it a fat jar or is it war file, or what do you run?
War file. But, I'm just speaking. This is brainstorming, correct, guys?
Yep.
In Hammock, for example, it's kind of, you just package the jars up. So you run the jars with the dependencies in there, and you package all in the folder, and you're done.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so can we do something? Can we have an item that says, let's test it? Because if Kevin is telling us we are really moving ahead with this and it's looking awesome, how do we make it scalable? How do we make this so that the other projects get to see and test? The theory is great, but if we don't proactively test it, we get nowhere. So I think we should test it. So who is in charge of that as an action item? Please, I don't want to own it.
Well, so when I look at this, right, the guides are in GitHub, right? And you can contribute to GitHub, but the GitHub is under an open liberty.
Mm-hmm.
Repo instead of under a MicroProfile repo.
Why is that?
Because it's their content.
Okay. But we can fork it and go and bring it to MicroProfile, correct?
Yeah, if you wanted to.
So what do you recommend, Kevin? Speaking on behalf of IBM, how do we do it nicely so that we can test it? Test this theory.
Yeah, well, just to test it out, that's exactly what I would do. Just fork it. Someone that would have an interest in Tommy Tribe or Payara or Red Hat or whatever, you fork it, see what type of changes would be necessary to get this working with that particular app server. And then we can figure out, okay, now what do we want to do going forward? but we have to experiment with it first.
Correct.
Yeah, I think I might try Swarm. I did notice just briefly, occasionally in the verbiage, right, there's things like update the server.xml, right, which is like an Open Liberty thing. So there's probably a couple of code-related things we might want to adjust to make it more generic, and then content-wise as well. And that's where, we'll have to take a look.
So what is the ETA for deadline on getting feedback from after this call? John, you're traveling, and likely you're traveling next week. I am traveling on Friday, but definitely.
No, I'm done. I'm done traveling. I'm finally back.
Okay, yes. So what is the ETA for us to get to enable the other projects and the other community to, not only individuals but actual partners to go in there and test it?
Well, I can't speak for anybody else, but I'm going to take a crack at a couple, probably config, because I've been beating the heck out of that recently. Probably config and try and run through it with Swarm. So I'll fork it, make some changes, and see what happens.
Are you comfortable to send the results directly to document it via Git, and also send the link via the open forum? And so that everyone knows, at least knows, it's like, I have done this. This is, like, you don't have to speak yourself. You just document it via Git while you're working on it, and share the link so that it triggers us to know, because we will never know. It's impossible to just check all Git.
Right.
Okay. I think that is awesome. So you have committed to be the lamb. Thank you.
Yeah, I'll be a lamb because I want to hack away at it. All right, so
John, I think maybe I'm reading into what Amelia was asking, but the way I heard her question is, what kind of deadline do we have for your original idea for these guides for, MicroProfile 1.4?
Well, okay, so, okay, I see what you're saying. So we're...
Thank you, Kevin.
Definitely running behind. So...
Is that you, Amelia?
you can say, I do not know. Let's find out a bit later. Really, we just got back. I get this.
I don't know. But I do think it's in various folks' best interest to maybe try out an example, an Open Liberty guide, just to see how it works out. I'll try out, like I said, I'll try out the Swarm one, just to see, the config one or something, just to see how it works. Mm-hmm. Okay, so hold on, I want to go to the notes here.
Yeah, before the Nexus, because we had a presentation on MicroProfile and update on 1.3, we ran the multiple applications, and not only with Tommy, but just multiple, and it was a really cool thing. I'm not sure if we have shared the presentation video over MicroProfile community, but if it's available, I will make sure that we share it, because that might also help everyone that will want to do so, not only on Tommy, but everyone else. Like, we did X, and these are the issues that we found. So part of the documentation. While you do that, John.
Okay, on here.
Kevin, the Open Liberty document.
Yeah.
Is it 1.3?
Yes, it will be. The one that I'm pointing at in the meeting minutes, that's very basic. It might even be like 1.1.
Oh, I see.
But we are updating all of them and creating new ones that will go all the way through 1.3.
Got it.
Just that we're still in the process of getting them ready, and some of them will be coming out this Friday, and all of them have to be ready by next Friday.
Wow.
Got it.
So should I wait, Kevin, before I do a fork?
Sounds like it.
Well, it just kind of depends. If you're
or
just
is there one that's kind of ready?
If you're just experimenting with it, then just do a clone and try it out.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I mean, the way that we did this is each one of these is a separate repository.
Ah.
Yeah. I kind of noticed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, what we were talking about doing from the last meeting was having one repo with all the examples, but each example had their own Palm file. So we weren't going to do, multi-modules or anything like that.
Right. And we did it this way just because we had to kind of pick and choose, and we just picked people across the organization and said, okay, you're going to do that piece, and it was just easier to have separate,
Yeah.
separate write-ups.
Okay. All right, so I'll do a fork and see what we can do from a Swarm perspective. And Kevin, if you're pretty confident that this is something that might be able to move on to the MicroProfile repo, into a MicroProfile repo?
Well, that's what...
be copied into.
Yeah, I think that's what we got to figure out. I mean, maybe I'm being too optimistic and these would require too much work to make them generic, but, we need someone to take a look at it first.
Yeah, let's take a swag at it.
And I will say that, really the ones that will be coming, like by Friday, maybe it'd be better to wait until Friday, because the ones that are coming Friday are more of the standalone ones, where it's very specific to, like a fault tolerance feature or for metrics. And that one, those type might be a little bit easier to run with different app servers.
Okay. Yeah, by the way, so I did, one of the reasons why I was overloaded over the break, over the travel, is because I was also doing teaching an online course on Swarm and MicroProfile and all of that. And definitely got some interest in MicroProfile. People were basically saying, hey, where can I find out more about MicroProfile and all that stuff? So, fault tolerance, external config, health check, that all worked out, I thought, fairly well. So they thought there was, a lot of interest around this. So between MicroProfile and EE4J, we could, I think, definitely start to move things forward here pretty quickly in the enterprise Java world.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's not even talk about Java 1. I don't know if you just said Java 1. Don't even talk about Java 1. It's too soon.
No, I didn't.
Too soon. Let me be.
Okay, so, John, the other thing that I wanted to ask you about related to 1.4 is, you talked about having or allowing some updates to the other specs in a 1.4 release. So I've heard from the REST client that they might like to get in there, so it'd be a 1.1 update. There may be something related to metrics. And shoot, there was another one that I heard of.
Yes, I was trying to push forward with config and doing the dynamic stuff.
Yes, config, that's it. When we talked 2 weeks ago, that's the one that came up. Yep.
So REST config, sorry, I missed one of them.
Well,
in the notes.
Yeah, I had mentioned metrics, but let's skip that one for now because that might actually be just a Liberty update that I'm thinking of, and it's not specific to the specification.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think Scott might have been looking at JWT. Okay, we'll see if there's anything opportunistic that we can do.
I have a question
yeah.
Sorry about this. I have a question about the multiple projects running on MicroProfile. How are we getting the updates? I know there are minutes by each of the projects when they meet, but we don't have, aside from sometimes Mark or Emily able to join this call, we don't have actually, the lead or the active participants on that call. And I wonder if we have reached out to them yet to say, hey, will you mind joining or send in the written reports? Because
that's a very good point, Amelia. I mean, one thing that I just lost track of, there was the Istio mesh discussion that happened Monday morning.
Yes.
And I didn't hear about it until afterwards, and it's like, oh man, there's a lot of good discussion there, but I just missed it.
Yes.
But it would be good to see minutes from those. And I don't know how to feed that
Okay.
to the rest of the community.
Okay, so do you guys mind if I reach out to each project? Clearly, I said that we will update the MicroProfile IO to add the calendars, and that is on me. We did not get feedback from the community. So we will execute what I think we need to do, and then I will update that. Clearly, I think I can do it during my flight and say, who is the person that I need to contact and say, can you join one, or delegate to someone to join and update? Because I know there are more than 2 people attending each of those calls. And it seems to us that we are not scaling that data aside from the minutes. And even when there are no minutes, what's happening? We have now, Mark, what is it?
Yes, there's something I experienced as well. We have a lot of kind of online communication where we kind of meet regularly, a few people, but we know, but the others don't. So we don't, we have the minutes, but we don't reflect this to the group. So what is the currently preferred way to have an kind of offline reachable archive of this information? Like, let's go back to the MicroProfile IO group or the mailing list. What is the preferred medium to share all this outcome? And to at Apache there is the saying, if it didn't happen on the list, it didn't happen.
Correct.
And this is kind of you have a long feedback track. This means you get the feedback after 24 hours, so this sucks. But on the other hand, it's all on record. People can read it up. If someone is on vacation, he comes back on Monday and he reads up the mailing list and he has all the information. We missed that somehow.
So let me, John and Kevin, do you mind if I say this? Because I'm always into, let's bring transparency and make the data and ourselves scalable. Because this call doesn't need neither of us. It could be someone totally new and will be able to own this call without us, right? So we said that every single time a call occurs by a project, the minutes need to be sent to not only the marketing general group and IO forum, but also to marketing, right? So the community see. It is up to the community to go in there and read it when we have the time, right? We are not good at documenting stuff at all. And I am in business, so I don't have the time to go into Glitter, what we're using for shortest changes, and read thousands of lines, right? Because I do not know what is important. So what I'm saying is, I want to reach out to each, what I'm going to do is I'm going to join each call, actually, aside from reaching out, and I will ask, is it possible to forward this to the forum? Whoever is attending needs to do this. And just to scale the data. We're missing so much information. It is concerning.
So one thing that I'm wondering about, the way that we have the running minutes here for our, the MicroProfile community, if each of those other teams had running minutes, we could just put a link in here, and that way at least we'd have one central location to find all of the information.
Bingo.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing.
Bingo.
So we need to reach out to each team and make sure that they provide a link to their meeting minutes. I'm assuming each team has meeting minutes.
Yes.
Maybe that's a false assumption. But yeah, in that case, yeah, we should link that to the very top of this doc, actually.
And one of the changes we're going to do in MicroProfile IO that is going to just appear, and then I will update the link by Google, is not only each project will have the calendar of when they are meeting, but also they will have the link to the minutes, all in IO, and people involved because it already says so. But those 2 things are going to be a must.
And one more thing, if we say we want to ship 1.4 in the next few months or something like that, then we have to communicate this also to our own developers. We don't do this. We know about it, but they don't. So they don't have a plan that we are thinking about 1.4.
And they don't even know what 1.4 will have. I don't even know it myself because I haven't even seen the skeleton.
Sure.
Blame it on travel, not because you have.
Well, the idea.
But we should just drop it on a list and say, hey folks, what about, what's the status of each and them and every project, and then we collect this information back and make a more serious and realistic timeline.
John, are you okay to send the minutes to MicroProfile General and say, we are adjusting the MicroProfile Hangout minutes to include each project? I think we need to make the minutes of this call a set on the space for each project already set up and updates by the minutes. And, you know, it is every project's job or lead or active to update it. And we should just have it as a setup. Like, I think we need to structurize it as, these are the new minutes as a general, and we will bring the transparency on each project.
Right.
And updates need to occur by the active participants. It shouldn't be that Joan get updates. Why will you be a secretary? The team needs to scale their data and add it.
Okay. Point made. Point taken.
Yeah. So, John, I think I got most of that in the minutes.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I did give Amelia a work item there to touch base with each of the projects.
All right.
Also, the calendar. If you go to the calendar, I think all of the calls do list the minutes and the getter information and the calendar entry, except for REST client. I don't think they have those specified in the announcement, the calendar announcement.
Not REST client? Oh.
Yeah, if you go to the calendar, I was just looking at it while you guys were talking. Everyone, like if you look at fault tolerance, they have all the links in the calendar entry for the minutes and the you know, the call information, and but the REST client doesn't.
Oh,
Yeah, I think, the REST client, I think, was going through a little bit of a change because John didn't think that he could continue to drive it. And I don't think that they've necessarily figured all that out yet. So that could be why that one's kind of missing.
I see.
That's John Ammett, not John Klingon.
Yeah, so I mean, personally, when I want to know the status of the latest meeting, I just go to the calendar, open the entry, and click on the minutes and start reading. So
that's so many clicks.
Okay. So they I guess I didn't even know that. So all of them are already kind of doing a rolling minutes?
Yeah, if you go to the calendar, you open the calendar entry, there's a link there for the minutes.
Okay.
For that specific call.
And that those link minutes, I know they are available, but they are not centralized. I am saying that when we go and work on the MicroProfile IO, that is a task that I embarked and asked for feedback, but no feedback has been given. Not only the calendar, but also the minutes will be separately as information for each of the projects. Because too many clicks. One click suffice. And since we are not documenting in Git, we will have MicroProfile IO as the source of truth. Because even Eclipse MicroProfile is not fully updated. So we will bring it out there. So it should be cool.
Okay, sorry, I was just I'm trying to edit here.
I can't even type, so
really unsuccessfully.
Yeah.
All right, so all right, where are we at here?
Oh, you're gonna put the links right under each of the names? Is that what
yeah, or just make each one a link. Yeah. Is all I was going to do to the meeting minutes. Sorry, I'm looking for Zoom. Did anyone actually start the recording on Zoom?
No.
Who's doing
Zoom? Yeah, it's not record. It's recording.
You pressed it, John.
Yeah, I did.
Oh, you did? Oh, there it's. Sorry, I'm so used to Blue Jeans being in the right-hand corner, and this is in the left-hand corner. So, my bad. All right. I knew you were going to start it. I just didn't see it. Okay. So 1.4 status, reach out to each of the teams. I think I'm going to send a note to the Google group asking kind of if there's anyone that's actually ready to release a sub-project. Then I'll take a trial of one of the config, one of the guides, the IBM guide this form, and just see what it's like, and I'll kind of report back. Amelia's going to reach out to each of the teams as it relates to getting their minutes into.
Yeah, it may be, according to what Cesar was just saying, it may be that they're already doing that. So
they are doing that. They are doing that, but they do not. At least one of them should be joining this call. So just to say, to hear out. One thing is to read, but sometimes we cannot transcribe or make a transcript of everything we say, and we will miss stuff.
Yeah.
And I am a Java learner next week, so I will see a bunch of them next week. So one bit at a time. Hey, what are we doing? What can we do? So.
Yeah, I know that all the Red Hat folks are off at an engineering powwow this week, so that's why they're not here, or otherwise they would have been. But yeah, to your point, we should have statuses sent in or something like that. So I think that's a fair comment. So MicroProfile 1.4, in terms of, as I think about, I'm going to switch gears here a little bit. As we think about roadmap, so MicroProfile 1.4 is technically supposed to be the end of March. I don't think that's going to happen. So we're going to have to adjust the roadmap. I'll have to work with the others and figure out what, depending on what we could opportunistically do with some of the projects, as well as the effort it takes to do the how-to guides, we'll have to adjust that. The other topic then becomes, in the roadmap, is 2.0, right? Which we're looking to base off of Java EE8 / Jakarta EE APIs updates. So, Kevin, I think you were kind of thinking about the whole, 2.0 roadmap stuff. So I don't know if you have updated thoughts.
Yeah, nothing, to really update there per se. It would definitely be based off of Java EE8, not Jakarta EE at this point. That's
right.
Too far out. So the idea would be to, I know I didn't really go back to that thread that I started to try to finish it up, but basically what the gist of that thread was, we would start off very basic and just say, okay, now we're going to update the 3 base Java EE JSRs, add in JSON-B, and then the rest of the MicroProfile, whether we're talking 1.3, 1.4, depending on the timing, would just contribute to the rest of MicroProfile 2.0. So we wouldn't start doing the exploitation of Java EE8 until, let's say, 2.1. So the first one would be, let's just get out a base so that the same applications could run with different Java EE8 and then move them forward.
Kevin, can you write and send what you are thinking and ask for feedback in the forum? Because it sounds doable on the level of flexibility, and it can be crushed or not crushed. But this is a great thing. But if you just share it here, it means nothing. If you share it through the minutes, it's nothing. This needs to be a single thread that says X.
Yeah. And that's what I
be careful with how we post MicroProfile with Jakarta EE, especially because Jakarta EE is too young. Let's not mistake the two. They are not the one and the same. So drop it. Let's drop that name because it's not the same. It's in its own accord. A MicroProfile came before. So let's just move forward. If we start aligning the two, we're going to be stuck very soon.
Yep. And so there is a thread that is talking specifically about MicroProfile 2.0, but I just had not went back and re-updated it. So yes, that's my.
I saw it. This is what I'm saying. We're traveling and yeah.
But other than that, John, there really is nothing else new. But I do plan to get going on that, and that was part of my question for the MicroProfile 1.4, because I was just wondering, okay, is that something that I should wait for if there's going to be content update for, the REST client or metrics or whatever. So I could still start it, and then we can, we'll adjust as necessary, I guess, depending on how 1.4 plays out.
Yeah. If the is that was just an update of the EE technologies, nothing else, right? We're effectively kind of creating a baseline, right?
Yep.
Then, yeah, having 1.4 being a release that does allow other specs to increment, I think is a good idea, because otherwise they'll have to wait the equivalent of half a year, right?
No.
Right, to get their incremented stuff in there. So other projects updated as a part of one.
Do we continue the 1.x line? For example, I know quite a few companies just use the single technologies like MicroProfile to run on their E7 servers. And that works. But if we update the base line and, for example, MicroProfile, then it won't run on 1.2 based containers like 7 anymore. So do we stop with 1.4 MicroProfile 1.4, or will that continue to support kind of E7 level containers? Nothing you have to answer today. But just
this is a good question.
We can answer it actually today. When you're talking about support, like when we're talking about support, it depends of how the client, who do the client goes to trust for buying support, or not only buying, but the community. If they come to MicroProfile and choose one of the vendors, it is up to each vendor to decide what they decide to support. We as a company cannot dictate the last.
That's the support on the implementation level. The question is whether we like to add new features which are based on E7 once we also ship the E8 version, means MicroProfile 2.0 and so on. It's not on the, of course, the vendors will support this for the next few years, even on older containers. The question is whether we intend to add new features to E7 server level.
That's a very good question. You're talking about like we are in 2.2 and we realize that this API or this feature will make a lot of sense back in the 1. Branch.
Yep. And
nothing we have to answer today. We just should kind of have a clear vision, or might communicate that we haven't made up our mind yet. But it's the opportunity. If the community likes to have those cool new features, then and there is enough support and request for them, we might backport them and ship a MicroProfile 1.5. Mm-hmm. But we should kind of be clear if this is optionally doable, or if we say no, 1.4 will be the last, and then it's 2.0.
So
this reminds me of the Jitsa and the switch. Turn it on and off. We're going to be in the same spot if we don't clarify it starting on with that question. So, Mark, good job.
Yeah, I just, I'll put my foot down, or put a line in the sand that I don't agree that we cut everything off at 1.4.
Yeah.
There's going to be reasons to continue to support a Java EE 7 environment, and I think we have to look at, maybe it's each update. I mean, maybe there's something that's required. I'll just throw out metrics. Maybe there's something in metrics that requires something in Java EE8. Okay, well then that's going to be a 2.x feature. But if it's something that could apply to both, I think we should do both. That's my view.
And you know what I'm thinking, and I'm noticing while we are analyzing something without factual data, we don't have case studies of current vendors or clients using MicroProfile successfully. I think case studies, they are free because they are written by the people that are using the projects, and they say, we did X and it helped solve these problems. And I think not only in the business side, but also here, we should be thinking, how do we gather this data? I've said we should be gathering data on what is stopping people from using MicroProfile, different implementations. Mark says he knows some people that are using it successfully. Yet it's so vague that we are blind. So what are we doing that we're not getting that data to feed us so that we know it not become a jitsa situation where the vote gets no and then it gets pulled out, and then we have to educate the community as to what the no means, right? Besides crushing the community and being surprised, I think we can educate us now by gathering data. I am really a huge supporter onto making the users speak up. User stories are key, and we shouldn't be coding into
yeah. Well, I'll tell you what though, I'm not a fan of evolving the 1.x and the 2.0 line simultaneously. I prefer we keep one line kind of active, in much the way Java EE has, right? It's basically kept one line active, and it's up to the vendors to evolve vendor-specific features and so on that may eventually flow into a future version of the spec. But I can see it being difficult for some vendors to kind of maintain two simultaneous paths of MicroProfile.
And I would say for Tommy it would be almost impossible, because that will take enormous amount of resources and the level not only of coding, but making sure it runs. And we have all these things to consider. And why to do so if we do not know if it's going to work? We need something that will lead us.
I don't think it's that much of a resource problem, because the ideas and the design will be pretty much the same. One of the rough edges might be the backward compatibility, because currently I assume that 1.4 to 2.0 will be backward compatible. So if you have a 1.4 a user land application which uses 1.4 of MicroProfile some feature, then it will work the same, and you have to probably recompile it and it work on a MicroProfile 2.0 container. But once we introduce a feature in 2.0 or 2.1 and then backport it to 1.5, where you probably don't have the same techniques like JSONB, for example. You can't use JSONB in the APIs in the future. So you can't simply backport this in a compatible way. So you have to do it technically different for 1.5.
Okay, so allow me 30 seconds. Mark, you are correct on a few things, but allow me 30 seconds to close this topic and move to the next one, because we're almost done. The five of us will not decide on 1.4 alone or how it will lead to 2.0. Let's move a thread to the forum and move forward to the next topic, because we are repetitive. We're becoming repetitive and we cannot move on. Is that cool? And awesome conversation, but we can't decide for the community.
Yep.
Yeah, we're definitely not going to decide it here.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, I'm taking notes here, so we're capturing some of this.
Do you mind, guys, if while you type, Cesar, you have an update on marketing. I didn't meet the call, but do you want to give it in the next 5 minutes while we, record this 15 minutes, past 15 minutes? Cesar, do you hear me?
I was muted. Sorry, I was talking to myself.
I was like,
I was going off.
Cesar Latino, ¿dónde estás? I swear.
Before I give the update, can we spend a couple of minutes? I wanted to talk about or bring this up to you guys. What to do with the config JSR, the one that was submitted to the JCP. Do you guys have any thoughts on that? Should we? Because right now, from what I understand, everything's limbo with the JCP until all the new processes are in place under.
No. I got feedback from Heather and Harold, and it's on track as so far, except the back channel talks on the last JCP meeting. But officially, it's on track, and we're making good progress. And I have lots of conversations with Thomas Langer from Oracle. He took over from Dimitri, and he's a really good guy.
So at this point, though, can you guys officialize the JSR, or I thought you had to wait until Jakarta EE was all functional?
No.
Okay.
No, everything is moving forward as they should.
Okay, so
there are multiple options. We could probably, if we like the config.jsr likes, we could kind of move over to E4J. That's an option, but I only heard this from kind of second mouth. And the other thing is that some SE guys requested whether we could probably split this JSR into an SE and an EE part, and they would kind of like to eventually also make the SE part of a module in the JDK.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because from what I understand, if this config.jsr is officialized under the JCP, it'll be under JavaX, right?
Yes, that is currently this.
Once Jakarta EE, starts implementation or developing new specs, they cannot go on. They cannot modify JavaX.
Sure. No, we are JavaX, and this stays the same. We are clean.
Oh.
Right. So what's going to happen then to the config under MicroProfile? Well, hold on. Let me see if I can.
I tried
completely separate anyway.
I really the same. So I also moved over new features from the config.jsr to MicroProfile config.
Oh, you did?
Work in progress. Yeah, I've started already, but it takes up some time, and have day business as well. Only doing this on kind of my spare time. So
yep.
Mark, can you write in the minutes the update, because not many people know that the JCP and anything that has been submitted as far as the JSRs we are voting on stuff, and it's happening as it is. So no adjustments. And one thing you did mention, should the community decide we want to move it to Eclipse? Why do it? How to explain it? That is up to the community. I think we need to be very careful if that was ever to be posted as a question, because we are currently lacking getting feedback from the community. So it cannot be partners. It would be, and if it was up to me, I would just say I would prefer it to be closed and finalized on the JCP, just because we started there.
Somebody's phone.
That is
not mine.
Anyway,
that was mine. I went on mute. So it started ringing.
Well, community-wise, it's kind of the config.jsr people are the same like the MicroProfile people, basically, except Thomas Langer, but also asked him that he will show up here, and he's fine with that. And I listened to all the discussions regarding Jakarta EE and E4J, and it's not yet a community. They don't know the rules by themselves, so they're all figuring this out right now.
Correct.
And it's kind of if the playing field is not even set, so it's kind of a little bit weird currently. So I wouldn't seriously consider moving anything over to E4G yet. Mm-hmm. They have to come clean. They have to open up to the community. What got posted, the rules which got posted now are not as community friendly as the JCP rules have been, and that means something. Mm-hmm. That the community has no saying on the E4J basically, and that's.
You should write that in the minutes.
It's weird. No, I posted this and there have been a few people speaking up that the Jux and Apache and other big open source vendors which have a vested interest should also be part of this approach and handed out to. But it's not my business. Let's see how they draft it finally, and then we can decide whether we like to move the config.jsr from MicroProfile config/config.jsr to E4J or not.
Correct. I like this because I prefer to not be noisy with things that we cannot even execute. It's a waste of our time and resources and focus. So really, any talk on moving the MicroProfile JSR onto Eclipse is noisy to me at this time, and I will be extremely blunt because everything the waters are moving. There's nothing set up, and we are moving forward with the JSR as Mark said it. So.
And the point is, I like to have the content ready. and I like to have the content for config JSR and MicroProfile config, if possible, in sync.
Mm-hmm.
And to move from the content. And once we are satisfied with the content, and we kind of are ready to say, oh, let's move this to a voting ballot to the JCP, or move this to E4J. But we first have to get the content done, and then we can decide.
So much
Before
work.
that, just so let's finish the content, and then we look how far E4J Jakarta is community-wise, especially because the rules are currently not.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I don't
was
like
just
them.
trying to understand because MicroProfile submitted that JSR, and I
Yes.
was trying to understand.
No, we
what-
submitted it, but the correct verbatim is Eclipse submitted it on behalf of MicroProfile.
You're right. Eclipse, yes, you're right.
Correct.
So I was just trying to understand if it goes through the JCP, and then and if it lands on Jakarta EE or EE4J, I guess. How is that going to affect the config JSR with respect to MicroProfile?
No effect. No effect.
At all? Okay.
Not yet. In the long run, it depends on who does the maintenance. Will there be a maintenance release at Jakarta E? Then at the end, we will finish it now at the JCP or not, or at Jakarta E. But finally, it probably will get handed over. But it will remain Apache license because that's the way it is.
Yes.
And the rules are stuck, and that's it.
And it will not be TCK compliant because Apache doesn't own the license for the TCK. So we need to be very clear.
No. Stop.
No.
It's Apache licensed, and we also have the TCK, and the TCK is also Apache licensed. And this all was, so the specification wording, it's kind of basic setup like at inject and CDI and so on.
And
All
nominations.
By parts. We do by
and
parts, but you need to be
API
careful.
is all Apache licensed. It is not owned by the Apache Software Foundation, but it is under the Apache license.
Mm-hmm.
Very good. Okay, so I'll give you a quick update on marketing. Yeah, because it's only 5 minutes left. So we met yesterday. We had folks from Red Hat, Eclipse Foundation, Python. Some of the current MicroProfile events. Payara and Hazelcast have been running a series of events. So we're thinking about probably adding a running or I think that'd be useful for wanting to learn about it. They can go to an event that is near them. Let's see. We had a recap of DevNexus. Stephanie said that lots of people attended the booth and the sessions, and they saw the demos as well. Same thing happened on the Red Hat booth. We had tons of people do the demos at the workstations that we had there. Let's see what else. Dominica asked about if anyone was coming to Javaland that is coming up soon. And apparently David Blevins is going to be there. He has a talk about MicroProfile, and Andre as well.
Mark,
well.
we have, let me interrupt you on this. There is one day, aside from the MicroProfile in Java EE or E4J panel, there is full day on Monday about Java and what is happening. And it's a full day that is part of, most of us are attending or arriving into Cologne on Sunday, so that it takes from Monday all day about status, and it should be fun. That has not been publicly made, but I think we should say that. It's being done by the dog in Germany, and it's, I think, super cool. About the Nexus, we printed the 300 t-shirts with Cesar from Red Hat, and to tell you the truth, on the first day, they were pretty much gone. People were listening to the demos by Emily, by Roberto, by Ivar. And after the demo, they will get the t-shirts. And at the beginning, we thought that 300 would be too many. But it became that on the second day, we had to rationalize how to give them away. It was super amazing. And as Emily mentioned in one of her tweets, in one day, we had so many things happening just on MicroProfile at DevNexus. And each room had more than 100 attendees. And it was just extremely, and I imagine Cesar booth. I only once hugged Cesar. I couldn't even hug him. He was busy, but it was really amazing.
Yeah, so, and you know, I was happy to see that. I would say probably, it's just an informal survey, obviously, but I would say about 70% of the people that walked up to the Red Hat booth, when I asked them if they heard about MicroProfile, they said they either knew what it was or had heard about MicroProfile. You know, way more than Java 1 last year. So, I mean, there is, you know, the awareness is happening.
Mm-hmm.
Another thing that we talked about yesterday, real quick, was about the MicroProfile white paper that we're looking to contract somebody out for that. So Amelia's going to reach out to Lars.
I already did this morning.
Okay,
I read the minutes 6 a.m. and I already connected Stephanie and Mike with Lars, who is the person who has agreed to move forward. So.
What else? The DevNexus swag, the T-shirts. There was an expense for that. So Hazelcast, Tommy Tribe, and Red Hat are paying for that. Stephanie's going to send out the invoices today, she said. I haven't seen it yet, but hopefully I'll get it soon. And then we went over some, you know, planning for content for 2018. And Amelia, I wanted to ask you. I have put in a request, I think back in December, for microprofile.io to add the resources link with different links underneath, like for media, upcoming events, and things like that. Actually, I think it might have been something you wrote up. Mm-hmm. And it's been sitting there since then. I was hoping if you could push that because you guys, you know, maintain that source code. And did I lose connectivity, or was it just Amelia? Can you guys see me, hear me?
Yeah, it's just Amelia.
Oh, okay. So Amelia went frozen. Okay.
Yep, it looks like she's sleeping.
Her eyes are closed.
I hope she doesn't come back and watch this.
All right, so that was the update. Marketing update.
Let me correct you there because yes. Yeah.
Oh, she's back.
I can hear you guys.
Okay.
So allow me to remind you, Tommy Tribe. When we transfer the SI to Eclipse, we run a training for a few partners, and a few partners have access to I/O. Now, because we're going to adjust not only the tabs, but also the projects, my job is going to be to make sure that not only Tommy Tribe, but everyone who has gotten access is using it in a manner that creates value. If the partner or the individual has done nothing and expects to do nothing, the access will be withdrawn and give it to someone else, because Tommy Tribe cannot be the only one in charge. Back last year, we did the training on I/O so that everyone can execute without creating bias.
Right.
And we have not executed. So I am going to go back to what we did, and we will enable everyone that is active that can add good content, or not in the blogs, but I mean in everything I/O, to adjust it without having to tell Tommy Tribe is stopping this, because that is not the case.
Right. So people have access, but the only...
Hey guys, I apologize. We're at the top of the hour. Boy, Amelia, you need to pay that Wi-Fi bill. Just kidding. I know she can hear us. She probably can't see us.
Yep.
So anyway, yeah, we need to drop here. I have a call here at the top of the hour. So
thank you guys.
Thanks everyone for joining, and I'll see you same bat time, same bat channel in the future. All right,
Okay.
thanks.
Thank you.
Good night. Bye.